This episode is brought to you by Mug Root Beer. It's 3 p.m. on a Thursday. Too late for a coffee, too early for a beer. So you walk around aimlessly in search of a mysterious third beverage. That's when you hear it. The sound of the dog. The sound of Mug Root Beer. So drink Mug Root Beer if you got that dog in you.
You know how when you're living your life, and then all of a sudden you're out there helping cops solve crimes?
ABC Tuesday.
I have an IQ of 160. I spot things that detectives miss.
The series premiere of fall's most anticipated new drama, High Potential.
That big brain of hers is going to help us close a lot of cases.
Caitlin Olsen is the new face of investigation.
You're a single mom pretending to be a cop.
I am not pretending. I'm just out here super copping.
High Potential. Series premiere Tuesday, 10/9 Central on ABC. And stream on Hulu.
Thanks for listening to the Red Treehouse, where I tell scary stories to keep you up at night. You can listen to the Red Treehouse on your favorite streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a 5-star review. You can follow the Red Treehouse on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Red Treehouse Pod. And if you have a scary topic or story you'd like me to feature on an upcoming episode, email redtreehousepod@gmail.com. In episode 2 of the Red Treehouse, we explored several scary games to play in the dark. To date, it's been one of the most listened to episodes, and several listeners have requested another Scary Games episode. Well, here it is, a bonus episode of the Red Treehouse. A quick internet search will reveal a wide variety of spooky games from different countries. Some are simple, others are complex. Some require materials you have on hand, and others have an elaborate setup. No matter the game, the point is still the same: to have a good time and scare yourself senseless. For me, the scariest games are those involving a mirror. The possibility of seeing something ghostly in the reflection is scary. According to the National Institutes of Health, the fear of mirrors is called spectrophobia, and the fear of seeing one's reflection in a mirror is called isoptrophobia. In truth, I've never had the courage to play a single game of Bloody Mary, let alone any other mirror game. There's something else, though. There's a phenomenon known as the Caputo effect, experienced by people who stare at their reflections in the mirror. A Psychology Today article titled "Monsters in the Mirror. No, really, literal monsters," dated August 2nd, 2014, published the results of a study conducted by Giovanni Caputo. Quote, "In the study conducted by Dr. Caputo of the University of Urbino, participants were asked to stare into a mirror in dim lighting for 10 minutes. Results demonstrated that 66% of participants experienced huge deformations of their own face, 28% saw an unknown person, and 48% saw fantastical and monstrous beings." End quote. This phenomenon was called the strange face illusion, and was not limited to looking at one's reflection in the mirror. In fact, the phenomenon extended to other people's faces, where pairs of participants stared at each other for several minutes in a dimly lit room. In this bonus episode of the Red Treehouse, I'm going to tell you about several scary games to play in the mirror. Do you have the courage to play? I'll give you the details. You decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Thanks for joining me in the Red Treehouse. In today's episode, we'll detail 5 scary games to play in the mirror. Much like episode 2, I'll explain each game in detail, with step-by-step instructions on how to play. I'll also list them from least scary to most scary. A quick note, all sources for these games will be in the show notes. We'll start with the all-time scary game to play in the mirror, Bloody Mary. The setup for Bloody Mary is relatively simple. It's important to note that this game should be played alone. If you're with a group of friends, decide who's going to summon Bloody Mary first. You can flip a coin, play rock, paper, scissors, or see who draws the shortest straw. Whatever you decide is fine. The loser goes first. The first step is to go into the bathroom and turn off all the lights. Then, place a lit candle on the counter in front of the mirror. Be sure to close the door behind you so it's completely dark. And make sure you're alone in the bathroom. Once you've done this, look into the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times. Then wait for her to appear. If Bloody Mary doesn't appear, close your eyes and spin around in a circle 3 times. Open your eyes and look again in the mirror. It's been said that Bloody Mary resembles an old witch, and that if she appears in the mirror, she'll reach out to grab you. If you survive, immediately turn on the lights, blow out the candle, leave the bathroom, and have the next person step in to summon Bloody Mary. Our second scary game to play in the mirror is called Peekaboo. And this game should be played alone in a dark, quiet room, preferably not in your home. It's important to note that there are a few supplies that go along with this game, including a mirror capable of standing on its own without you holding it, a table, a chair, 2 candles, matches or a lighter, a timekeeping device with an alarm, salt, and a sheet or large piece of cloth in case of an emergency. The game begins at night. Go into your dark, quiet room with your supplies, and make sure to close the curtains or blinds on any windows in the room. After you've done this, place the mirror in such a way that it is standing upright near or on the center of the table. The mirror acts as your window. If the mirror is hanging on a wall, place the table directly under the mirror. Then, place the chair in front of the table and mirror. Place the candles on the table, 1 on each side of the mirror. Be sure to keep the matches nearby, and be sure to keep the salt and sheet nearby. Now, if the lights are on, turn them off and leave the room. Set the alarm for 3:30 a.m. When the alarm rings, the game begins. When the alarm goes off, go into the dark, quiet room as quickly as possible. The next 2 steps must be done before 3:33 a.m. Step 1. Take a handful of salt and do not let it go. You now have 2 minutes left before the game begins. Set your alarm for 3:53 a.m. You now have 1 minute left before the game begins. At exactly 3:33 a.m., light the candles. It's important to complete all of the steps before 3:34 a.m. If you don't, you cannot proceed with the game. If you've done all of these steps on time, now sit in the chair and close your eyes. do not open them until you're instructed to. Then, lean into the mirror until your face is almost touching the mirror, but do not touch the surface of the mirror. Keep your eyes shut and let your mind wander. What do you see in your mind's eye? Enjoy the sights, but whatever you do, be careful and keep your eyes closed. When your alarm goes off, it is time to close the window. To close the window, keep your eyes closed and back away from the table and mirror as far as you can. Open your eyes and throw a handful of salt at the mirror. When the window has been closed, blow out the candles and never use this mirror again. I mentioned that you need a sheet or a large piece of cloth in case of an emergency. Well, touching the surface of the mirror at any point in the game constitutes an emergency. Opening your eyes at any point before closing the window constitutes an emergency. Continuing to look into the window beyond the second alarm at 3:53 a.m. constitutes an emergency. And finally, opening your eyes at the correct moment when closing the window and seeing something in the mirror that should not be there constitutes an emergency. If an emergency occurs, cover the mirror with the sheet immediately, remove it from the room, and destroy it. Do not allow any piece of the mirror to return home with you. Our third game is the Three Kings ritual. And this game should be played with 2 players, a primary and a partner. There are a few supplies that go along with this game. They include a large quiet room, preferably a basement or a cellar, a pack of candles, a lighter or matches, a bucket of water, a mug or cup, an electric fan, 2 large mirrors, 3 chairs, an alarm clock, fully charged cell phones for both players, a place to sleep, and a small object of sentimental value. You begin this game at 11 p.m. It's important to note that your partner should know exactly what their role is, and they must remain in the home for the duration of the ritual. If the room you've chosen has windows, cover or block them completely before starting the ritual. Then, place 1 chair facing north in the center of the dark room. Place the other 2 chairs on either side, facing the 1 chair at an arm's length away. The single chair is your throne. The other chairs are your queen's chair and your fool's chair. Next, place one of the mirrors on the queen's chair and the other mirror on the fool's chair. The mirrors should be placed at an angle, so they face each other and you at the same time. You should see your own reflection in the mirror out of your peripheral vision, but at no time should you turn your head to look in either of the mirrors. Place the bucket of water and the mug in front of you just out of reach. Next, place the fan behind your throne. Set it to low or medium speed and turn it on. Important to note that you should never set the fan to high, and you have to make sure the fan is stationary and not oscillating. Then, leave the room, but keep your door open. Go to your chosen place to sleep, and there, place the candles, lighter, alarm clock, and cell phone next to where you'll lie down. Set the alarm to 3:30 a.m. and make sure the phone is charging. Finally, turn the lights off. Hold your small object of sentimental value, step into bed, and go to sleep. When your alarm goes off at 3:30 a.m., be sure to turn the alarm off and leave the light off. Keep hold of your small object, pick up your cell phone, light one candle, and return to the dark room. You must be sitting in your throne by 3:33 a.m. An important note: do not proceed with the ritual if your cell phone did not charge, your alarm did not go off at 3:30 a.m., you approach the dark room and the door is closed, you approach the dark room and the fan is off, or you are not sitting in your throne by 3:33 a.m. If any of these occur, immediately leave the home with your partner and do not return until after 6 a.m. Assuming you've completed these steps in time, once you are sitting in your throne, do not look at either of the mirrors and do not let the candle blow out. Focus on the darkness in front of you. And if you have any questions you wish to ask, do it now. If you receive a response, it will come from the direction of one of the mirrors. Under no circumstances should you look at the mirrors. Any answer you receive should be taken skeptically. Even though you designated one mirror as the queen and the other as the fool, you may not know which is which. Also, whoever is giving you answers will look at you, not as the king, but as the queen or the fool. Remain in your throne until 4:34 a.m. At 4:34, your partner should call your name to end the game. If this fails, your partner should call your cell phone. If this fails, your partner should use a bucket of water and the mug to break the trance. Our fourth scary game is the devil game. And this game should be played alone in an empty church. An important note: there are a few supplies that go along with this game, including a floor-length mirror, a spool of red thread or a ball of red twine or yarn, lots of salt, 7 candles, matches or a lighter, and questions you wish to ask and answers you wish to receive. A secondary note: you'll need a keen sense of time, since you cannot take any electronic devices or watches in the room with you. Before playing the devil game, choose a day that has personal significance to you. And on that day, before midnight, gather your supplies and enter the empty church. Choose a room in the church where you are unlikely to be disturbed. Once in the room, make your preparations. First, set up the mirror standing upright. You should be able to see your full reflection in it. Then, wrap the red thread, twine, or yarn 3 times around the mirror and tie it off. Be sure to tie it tight enough that it stays where you have wrapped it when you let it go. It's important that you do not allow the thread to unravel at any point. Next, create a circle of salt around the mirror. Do not allow the circle of salt to become broken at any point. And finally, place the candles evenly around the perimeter of the salt circle. Light them one by one, moving clockwise around the circle. It's important that you do not allow the candles to go out at any point. Once your preparations are complete, shut the door to the room and turn off all the lights. Then, perform a sacrilegious or blasphemous act, like taking the Lord's name in vain or turning a cross upside down. Stand in front of the mirror, being sure to keep the salt circle and circle of candles between you and the mirror. And then focus your gaze on the mirror and focus your attention on summoning the devil. Close your eyes and calmly count to 10. Then open your eyes. If you see only yourself, the ritual has failed. Turn on the lights, blow out the candles, clean up thoroughly, and leave. But if you open your eyes and you see something else, the ritual has succeeded. Try to stay calm. Do not look into his eyes, but be sure to always keep him in your sights. From this point on, you have 1 hour and 6 minutes to play this game. At the start of the game, he will ask you what you want. Pay attention though, because he may not ask you directly. And when responding, be sure to always keep him in your sights. Tell him you wish to challenge him to a game of questions and answers. Once he accepts your challenge, he will ask you a question. Answer his question as accurately as possible. Once you have answered, you may ask your own question. This will keep going for as long as you want to play the game, or before 1 hour and 6 minutes has elapsed. It's important that you do not allow the game to run past 1 hour and 6 minutes. When the game is over, thank him for playing, bow to him at the waist, and bid him farewell. Then, look into the mirror. If you see yourself the game is over, and you may turn on the lights, blow out the candles, clean up thoroughly, and leave. Do not bring the mirror to your home, and instead store it somewhere safe. Do not allow it to break, and do not allow the thread to unravel. Our final scary game to play in the mirror is the living doll game. The living doll game should be played alone. And there are a few supplies that go along with this game, including 2 mirrors capable of standing upright on their own, 1 doll that should closely resemble a human and be made of a hard material, 1 candle, matches or lighter, 5 spoonfuls of salt wrapped in paper, a timekeeping device, 1 scapegoat doll made of any material, and 1 strand of your own hair. Begin this game just before midnight, and be sure to clear your home of all people and pets. Attach your strand of hair to the scapegoat doll, and however you choose to attach it, make sure that it does not come unattached during the game. Choose a room in your home to be home base. Then, choose a different room to be your hiding place. Turn off all the lights in your home except in your home base room. Hide the scapegoat doll somewhere in your home, but not in your home base room or your hiding place room. Then, take both mirrors, the candle, matches, salt, timekeeping device, and human doll to the home base room. Place the 2 mirrors facing each other with a small space in between. And when your watch reads midnight, light the candle and repeat the following out loud 5 times. Quote, "I leave for you a new body. Please take it." End quote. Then repeat the following out loud 5 times. Quote, "Let's play." End quote. It's important to note that at this point you may hear noises coming from somewhere in the house. This means the game has begun. However, if you feel any tugging, pressure, or light touches on your body, do not continue with the ritual. Now that your preparations are complete, you're ready to play the game. Step 1. Take the salt and keep it on you at all times. Then say out loud, quote, "Please come and find me. If you do, I will give you my life." End quote. Turn off all the lights in the home base room and move quickly and quietly to the hiding room, taking only the salt. It's very important that you do not speak or make any noise, and that you do not leave a trail to your hiding place. In your hiding place, sit cross-legged on the floor and with your back to the door. Scatter salt on yourself, but do not use all of it. You'll need it later. Then, wait. Quietly. And do not let the doll find you. When you're ready to end the game, return quietly to the home base room. As before, do not speak or make any noise. Do not leave a trail for the doll to find you. Once you're in the home base room, stand in front of the candle and say out loud 5 times, quote, "You lose. The game is over now." End quote. Then, blow out the candle and scatter salt on yourself. Look for the doll, but no, it may not be where you left it. Once you find it, scatter salt on it. Then, find the scapegoat doll and scatter salt on that one as well. Finally, turn on all the lights in your home. And within 3 days of playing the game, destroy both mirrors, remove your hair from the scapegoat doll, burn the hair, destroy the scapegoat doll, and finally, destroy the human doll. An important note about the living doll game. It becomes more dangerous the longer you play it. If you feel like you're in danger, find somewhere to hide until you feel safe enough to follow the instructions to end the game. It is in your best interest to end the game as soon as possible without getting caught. It's obvious these games are not for the faint of heart, or for those who are terrified of mirrors. That last game especially, the living doll game, really makes my hair stand on end. As we close this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're still left with this question. Do you have the courage to play these scary games in the mirror? I've shared the details. Now you decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Thanks for joining me in the Red Treehouse.